In this video, Wiley Blevins conducts a close reading of an extended text with his students. Close readings should occur after students have read a text at least one time. As the class rereads the text together, notice that Mr. Blevins uses an instructional routine in which he models close reading habits and asks guiding questions that lead them back to the text. Students are encouraged to take notes as a tool to conduct their close reading. Mr. Blevins frequently partners students in pairs and small groups within whole class instruction to deepen their engagement in the text.
Well, when I was circulating and looking at the notes that you were taking, I noticed that there were some places that were a little puzzling or caused some of you some confusion. And so once we finish the story, it's really great to go back in and do a close second read so that we can clarify some of these confusions. And while we do our close second read of The Boy Who Invented TV, we're also going to fill in our sequence chart where we're going to list the major events in Philo's life, those events that really show us that someday he's going to become a great inventor. Okay? So let's begin, and let's start at the beginning on page 69. I want you all to turn there, put your finger on that first paragraph. It says in that first sentence, imagine what it was like growing up on a farm in the American West of 1906. So how was life different in 1906? What the author really is asking us to do is think about life today versus life long ago. So I want you to look in that first paragraph and find some text evidence that would give me some clues as to how life was different in 1906 than today. And when you find a piece of text evidence, I want you to read it aloud to us so that we can all see that evidence. Okay, give me one piece of text evidence, Talea.
It says, meeting up with others took some effort. You rode a horse or walked, but
right. Do we ride horses to school today?
No.
Do we walk?
No.
Only if we live really close. Great piece of text evidence. Very different back in 1906 from today. Deontay, share another piece of text evidence.
No refrigerators, no cars, few phones, hardly any indoor bathrooms.
I don't know if I could survive without a refrigerator, a car, a phone, or an indoor bathroom. What about you guys?
No.
Why do you think the author wants us to think about what life was like in 1906? Why is that important for us understanding the story? Turn to your partner and talk about that, because I see a lot of you thinking about why that might be so.
We have now.
Anyone want to share why they think the author thought that was important? Sydney.
He wanted us to know like how hard it was for him to like kind of come up with making the TV.
Yeah. This was a huge leap in technology that Philo figured out. Turn to page 70. And on page 70, we learn a lot about important events in Philo's life that led to him becoming the inventor of the television. Some of you shared these as surprising facts. What are some things we learned on page 70? If you could just sum up the big idea of page 70 that we could add to our first box in the sequence chart. Philo's still a young boy. What did he do? Lauren, what might that be?
Maybe like how he got his ideas.
And how did he get his ideas? What was he so interested in on this whole page that gave him ideas?
Like the hand crank telephone and the phonograph.
You're right. So there were lots of machines that he became interested in. Do you want to add to that, Guillermo?
His dad took him to the train station. He was afraid at first, and then the constructor took him and showed him how it kind of worked.
So he was fascinated by machines. That's sort of step one in becoming a great inventor, is you have to be fascinated or interested in how things work. So for our first entry in our sequence chart, why don't we write that Philo became interested in machines? It's our first clue that he's going to be a great inventor someday. Now, Guillermo shared with us a really interesting fact from the story that when Philo's father took him to see that train, he was afraid at first. Why do you think the author wanted to tell us that? Talk to your partner and see if you can figure out why the author might have wanted to tell us that.
No, but at the beginning, even though he really liked like mechanical stuff, he wasn't really sure about what it was.
Okay. I want Lauren to share one of her ideas for why she thinks he was scared, because I think it's really insightful. Lauren.
I thought it was like kind of interesting because he invented so many good things, and then you would never think he'd be like nervous when he was little.
You know, we've been talking a little bit about how Philo was such a smart kid and how he saw the world in very interesting ways. But do you think that Philo felt different from other children? Now, the text doesn't tell us whether he felt different, so we're going to have to make an inference. Remember, when we make an inference, we use clues from the text and we use our own knowledge to try to figure out something. So I want you to make an inference about whether or not you thought Philo felt different from other children. I want you to talk about that with your partner.
I think he did because he probably didn't know, but he probably was because he was probably smarter than other kids and that he was so interested.
He got bullied a lot.
Okay, let's share some of our ideas. Do you think Philo felt different?
Well, he was constantly bullied, and that just showed that he didn't really feel like he fit in with the other kids.